This is the science behind how students are sorted into their Hogwarts houses, so you can see just what your house says about your personality. And you'll be happy to hear that you can be sorted into a house based off of your potential. So despite me being terrified to speak in front of people at a young age, rather burying myself in Bruce Lee movies, there's still hope I would be in Gryffindor. Hogwarts and its houses were founded in the 10th century, under the witches and wizards Godric Gryffindor, Helga Hufflepuff, Rowena Ravenclaw, and Salazar Slytherin. In the early days of Hogwarts, each of the founders would hand-pick the arriving students for their respective houses. But as they grew into old age, they were worried with how accurately students would be selected after their passing, in which Godric took off his own hat and each of the founders reportedly put some of their brains in it, or rather some of their essence and knowledge about the traits their house valued, creating what would come to be known as the sorting hat. Before beginning the sorting ceremony each year, the sorting hat would sing a song about the founding of the school and the four houses, every so often letting loose information about the nature of the founders and what they valued in life. A song that it would spend all year composing in the headmaster's office. While it's been unclear for audiences if the sorting hat picks a student purely based off of the qualities they value and exhibit right now, or based upon their potential for who they could be, the hat really seems to do both, taking into account everything it can get about who they are to judge who they could be and find which house would best serve their personal development. Although it does take into account a student's preference, and quite often students have qualities that could fit them into multiple houses, in which case the hat often takes its best guess for their future. So getting into which house you might be sorted into, we first need to know what the sorting hat would be feeling out within you, or what are otherwise known as your personality traits. Many theories on personality traits have been created over the years by psychologists, but the one that has been universally accepted that applies to everyone regardless of their background and upbringing is what is known as the Big Five. These 5 traits being openness, or how creative, imaginative, and open to new ideas and experiences someone is; extroversion, or otherwise how outgoing, social, and talkative you are; agreeableness, how cooperative, empathetic, and warm someone is towards others; one of my favorites, conscientiousness, which is how goal-oriented or ambitious, responsible, and organized you are; and lastly, neuroticism, which, being seen as the only negative trait, is overall how emotionally unstable, irritable, and how much you display excessive emotion when dealing with any sort of stress, no matter how minor. Rather than being an all-or-none situation, everyone has some percentage of each trait, just in higher or lower amounts, with some people being really high in one or two, or others may be really low in one or two others, which would also give them the opposite tendencies of someone who is considered high in that particular trait. Which leaves me to assess myself as being the weird kid who went on to study science, but had the guts to walk across the street to an acting school where I totally performed Shakespeare on stage in front of audiences, as either being an astute Ravenclaw or a potential Gryffindor if I ask nicely. Which brings us to the first of the 4 houses, being Hufflepuff. The House of Hufflepuff is symbolized by a badger, which is an animal that embodies persistence, endurance, determination, friendship, and tenacity, as badgers are seen as incredibly hard workers that never give up on their quest to achieve their goals, rather dying than giving up. And thus students who often find themselves sorted into the House of Hufflepuff are known to value hard work, dedication, patience, loyalty, companionship, and fair play. Their colors are a bold combination of black and yellow. They have a sweet, sunny, and earthly common room right next to the Hogwarts kitchen, and overall, out of the 4 elements, their house represents the element of earth. If you were sorted into Hufflepuff, it likely means that you are high in agreeableness, as you look to work well with others, are more trusting, sensitive, well-liked, and reliable. It also means that you are likely high in conscientiousness, thinking deeply about events and goals you have, being organized, prizing self-discipline, and being an incredible worker when it comes to reaching your set goals, thriving with schedules and routines, and stick to following the rules as you go about getting what you want. This also means that you likely have a correlated lower score in openness, being wary of drastic new ideas that would cause sudden changes and possibly upend the structure that you follow, along with lower levels of neuroticism, as Hufflepuffs tend to stay the course with confidence, and are thus more emotionally stable. Hufflepuffs are somewhat extroverted, but not overly so, and may make good sorted leaders looking out for those around them, assisting others, being dependable, gentle, and liking to keep social harmony, even if it means sacrificing results at times. It also means that Hufflepuffs generally don't like confrontation, and are in danger of being too dependent on others, often getting along with Gryffindors over the other houses. Which brings us to the House of Ravenclaw. Ravenclaw is, much like Gryffindor, rather than being depicted by the animal that matches its name, is depicted by an eagle, which symbolizes wisdom, vision, enlightenment, self-expression, and freedom. Ravenclaw's house is located high up in a tower and is arguably the most gorgeously designed room in the entire enchanted castle. It's covered in the Ravenclaw colors of blue and bronze, has star-filled ceilings, and a wide view of the mountains and Hogwarts Lake, as Ravenclaw depicts the element of air being the most airy room in the castle. Students who are sorted into Ravenclaw are noted for their individuality, acceptance of things that most others would consider to be weird, and possess an outstanding intellect, as Ravenclaws tend to value intelligence, knowledge, curiosity, creativity, and wit. Ravenclaws can be quirky and may have their own unusual intellectual interests. While others hold prejudices and shun others, Ravenclaws generally accept and celebrate people's eccentricities, with the house producing many great inventors and innovators, as the students also tend to be much more academically competitive and focused towards their goals. Someone who is sorted into the House of Ravenclaw is likely to be quite high in their openness as a defining trait, using their intellect to constantly come up with new creative ideas, being open-minded and willing to embrace new ideas and novel experiences, approaching unfamiliar things with a level of curiosity, and are quite good at thinking about and making connections between different concepts, as they tend to be quite insightful and independent with an aptitude for education. It's likely that besides being rather adventurous, you are also high in conscientiousness, as you are more orderly, are able to pay attention to details, are able to deliberate or carefully think of new solutions, as you're able to focus on and pursue your goals in a rather determined way. Which is good for you, as the two traits out of the big five whose combining is most frequently associated with high achievement is the combination of openness and conscientiousness, as you can not only dream but also work towards making your dream a reality. Likewise, students who are sorted into Ravenclaw may tend to be anywhere when it comes to their levels of extroversion, being interested in having discussions with others due to their openness, while also enjoying working by themselves, focusing on the task at hand, while having average to higher levels of agreeableness, with them being able to work with others but not minding working by themselves, while being anywhere on the chart in their levels of neuroticism. Although true Ravenclaws who are able to achieve their goals may likely be average to low, being able to handle the stress of working through problems, while others' ambitions may get to them if they're not careful. Next, we come to the House of Slytherin, with Slytherin being symbolized by a snake, depicting cunning, death and renewal, rebirth and transformation, as well as medicine, healing, and even immortality. Snakes don't necessarily depict evil as much as they have both positive and negative qualities, as many cultures see them as a symbol of yearly renewal and growth. The Slytherin common room is found in the Hogwarts dungeons at the bottom of the grand staircase, and rather than being a dark, eerie room, is more like an awesome aquarium, as the common room extends underneath the Great Lake, where you can see plenty of underwater creatures and even a giant squid, with the lake giving a green tint to the already emerald green and silver colored room, with Slytherin corresponding to the element of water. Students who are sorted into Slytherin are likely to value ambition, cunning, resourcefulness, self-preservation, and even leadership. Slytherins are determined and clever when it comes to meeting their goals. They have the makings of natural leaders, are able to stay calm under pressure, being able to evaluate situations and make quick decisions. Slytherins tend to follow their own path rather than an upheld set of ideals, and tend to be rather self-reliant. Someone sorted into Slytherin is likely to be high in conscientiousness, having high goals that you are driven by, as you are organized and place a lot of value on being able to achieve your objectives, being seen as determined and hardworking. Likewise, Slytherins are likely to score low on agreeableness, prioritizing their goals and ambitions over the feelings and needs of others, making you seem as less accommodating and more selfish. Slytherins may also score average to low on their openness, as they may tend to value and respect tradition, not being so inclined to explore new ideas and experiences that would contradict and change the way things are. Along with this, Slytherins may exhibit a moderate level of extroversion, particularly when it serves their ambitions, but also have introverted qualities, being able to work independently. If you're sorted into Slytherin, you may also be moderately high in your level of neuroticism, being as fiercely competitive as you are irritable, likely to be dissatisfied and prone to uses of deceit and manipulation, often being in danger of stepping on those around them to their own detriment if they don't learn better. Then we have the House of Gryffindor, who is symbolized not by a griffin but a lion, with the lion symbolizing valor, nobility, courage, strength, stateliness, honor, and self-confidence. Gryffindor's common room is located high up in the faculty tower, being lined with their scarlet and gold colors, as the Gryffindor house represents the element of fire, with the Gryffindor students' motto being Forti Animo Estote, or be of good courage. Students sorted into Gryffindor are those who most value bravery, daring, nerve, and chivalry, as they are always ready to help someone in need. Gryffindors tend to have a great deal of loyalty towards their friends and peers, not easily wavering in their ideals, and they tend to be bold regardless of the situation they find themselves in, following a high standard of moral beliefs and honor, even becoming offended if one of their own acts in a dishonorable way. If you were to be sorted into the House of Gryffindor, it means that you are generally likely to be higher in your extroversion. As being known for their braveness and boldness, you are not afraid to speak your mind and be at the forefront of the action taking place, especially if you believe it's for the greater good of everyone, rather than just yourself. Gryffindors are also moderately high in their openness, valuing adventure or rather being willing to take risks, learn new information that may change their viewpoint as they often seek out new challenges. This would also mean that you are likely average in your agreeableness, that while valuing loyalty and friendship, you may tend to exhibit assertiveness and a deal of competitiveness. You are willing to disagree and stand up for what you believe is right, even if it involves conflict with others. Gryffindors also might have a moderate level of conscientiousness, as you tend to be proactive when it comes to reaching goals, but Gryffindors may not have near the level of ambition that Slytherins and Ravenclaws have, yet they take their responsibilities seriously, especially when it comes to matters of courage and honor, never slouching when it comes to something they've set their mind to. And someone sorted into Gryffindor also may have a moderate level of neuroticism, having bravery to the point of foolhardiness and sometimes recklessness, as you throw yourself into risks without knowing the full scope of the danger, having the tendency to try to be the hero, leading Gryffindors to deal with a lot of stress and anxiety, with Gryffindors sometimes being rather short-tempered and irritable, especially if someone goes against their values of honor and self-righteousness. Basically, they have a little bit of fire in them. But if none of this was very interesting, then I saved an interesting fact for last. Each Hogwarts house has a protective defense to stop intruders from entering them, as Hufflepuff also soaks people in vinegar for getting the password wrong, with their house coming to define who they are, much like the color of an individual's lightsaber, as the lightsaber crystal within changes its hue to match them. As we go over what your lightsaber color is in this video, see you in the next one!